Cougs House, Houston absolutely dominated the Baylor Bears on Monday night. And big Monday, big TV deal that not very many people got to see.
You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Cougs, a podcast about your Houston Cougars. I'm your host, Houston Sport teacher and coach Parker Ainsworth, and this is a bonus episode, a bonus short few minutes on Locked On Cougs, talking about all things Houston Cougars after Houston's big win, 76-65 over the Baylor Bears. That game got up to be a 25-point lead at one point in the second half, but most people at home didn't really get to watch it. Kind of, sort of. It's not great. So, I don't know if you heard, but recently there was a pretty big trade in the NBA in which a Slovenian kid named Luka Doncic, who's like one of the best players in the world, he's 25, yeah. He gets traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers for a tall guy who won a national championship in college named Anthony Davis. I say that somewhat facetiously. They're both obviously really good players, that kind of stuff, right? Get swapped for one another. It utterly just destroyed the ego and the connection the Mavs had with the city of Dallas. It looks like, I mean, bunch of protesting and chaos and all of that, and tossing guys out of the arenas for chanting to fire Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavs, all that kind of stuff, right? Meanwhile, Luke in LA has been a love story. He and LeBron get along great, blah, blah, blah. He's finally going to play Monday night. Of course, he's finally going to play Monday night. And Houston is set up to be the big Monday game on Monday night, tipping off at 8 o'clock Central Time. That's a big deal. That's a good thing. That's 9 o'clock East Coast time. If I'm keeping things straight here. And the NBA, who also has to deal with ESPN, much like the Big 12 does, butts their way into ESPN's coverage of Big Monday. And midway through the game, Houston versus Baylor gets bumped to ESPN Plus or ESPNU. You had to go online to find it. And frankly, for what it's worth, Houston wins this game by a lot. It never felt out of their control. But at that point, like, Norchad Omier had just hit a three. They were like, we weren't quite at the U12 timeout when that started getting kind of dicey. It's a 10-point game. Baylor's come back from 21 points down before the season. You're kind of like, okay, like that's what's going to happen here. Houston ends up dominating, having a big snap, gets up by 25 1 point, right? But the game was not decided, and Houston's a top 6 team in America at this point. Calvin Sampson and Scott Drew are two Hall of Fame bound coaches, and they bumped it for an ESPN NBA game that, listen, I'm not watching the whole thing, but it looks like the Lakers are up like 25. The Jazz only won a dozen games, and we're in February, and that's what we'd rather watch because Luka decided to play. Now, here's the other thing that's a little frustrating is, honestly, I get why Lakers have a big international fan base. The Cougs are a growing fan base. The Big 12 basketball is growing. It's a big deal relative to college basketball, but the Lakers, yeah, right, fine, sure. They're the Yankees of, yeah, got it. The big deal to me is this trade between the Mavs and the Lakers was made like 9 days ago at this point, right? Trade was made 9 days ago. And it seems like everyone knew Luka Doncic wasn't going to be healthy this weekend. The Mavs are talking about him coming back in their game on Saturday. He got traded to Lakers, and this was very quickly targeted as like a potential return date. If this was potentially in the works as soon as he got traded 9 days ago, you should have moved this stuff around. ESPN, they fumbled this. They needed to move stuff around and make sure that this TV schedule got bumped to where, like, hey, maybe the Cougs game starts at 7 instead. Maybe we don't watch all of Clemson and North Carolina because North Carolina's not any good this year, right? Maybe, you don't ever put Houston. Unfortunately, maybe you just don't put Houston any point on the big channel. You put on one or the other, and you put a different Houston game like the next Baylor game, which is also on a Monday, maybe that gets put on the big ESPN channel or something, or maybe you bump what's on ABC and you put the LeBron game on ABC, the Luka game on ABC. Maybe do something different here. But a lot of Houston fans see this Baylor rivalry game as a chance to watch their team play. And they have a team that has this Big 12 media package, this Big 12 TV deal we've talked a lot about at this point, and it gets bumped at what felt like a kind of crucial moment of the game, just in the middle of a timeout. At the U12 timeout in the second half, they just took it away, right? And, the U12 timeout happened about 20 seconds after the 12-minute mark, right? And just so happened to sync up exactly with when the Lakers decided to start their game, because an NBA game never starts on time, right? But all is to say, what if that U12 timeout didn't happen for 4 more minutes? Like, what would have happened had that U12 timeout not ever, there's no dead ball? What if it just didn't happen? Were you going to leave mid-play? Were you going to leave mid-jump shot? What happens if Norchad Omier is going in for one of those dunks that he had when Houston lost him and the score is tightening instead of expanding, and we just cut? Look, I get, again, the Lakers are the Yankees are the Yankees, the Cowboys are the Yankees. Frankly, a lot of fans wear all 3 shirts, right? I get that. I get that there's a lot of those kinds of people. I also get that this game was set to be on ESPN, and this trade happened 9 days ago, and you could figure this out. There were other options. You don't have to cut a broadcast mid-game. And it was weird. It was a little janky. It was awkward to find after the fact. Even when you knew it was coming, it was awkward to find. And you know, NBA is a big partner with ESPN. So is the Big 12. ESPN's paying the Big 12 a lot of money to put these games on. They better do it right. Right? There are new streaming options popping up every single day. There's a pretty decent odd that you're watching this on one of them, right? That is all to say, I I don't think that's a precedent we should just let go. Listen, I know guys like Luka Doncic don't get traded a whole lot very often. I think I saw a stat that was like, this is the first time that 2 guys that are all first-team NBA get traded for each other mid-season or something, right? I'm a big NBA guy. If you follow me on social media, I like the NBA a lot. But this game mattered. This college game mattered in a way that Utah Jazz games this year don't, simply put. And I don't think you should just be able to do that if you have a TV partnership with someone. And I think that's where I'm going to stick a pin in it for now. And we'll see how the rest of these things go. If this is a one-time thing, because it's Luka's first game in LA and he hit a step back 3, it looks like, for his first shot, grand. It came at Houston's expense because most things tend to. But we, as college basketball fans, can't just let this kind of thing happen over and over again. Right? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm not. Tell me in the comments down below. Locked on Coogs, primarily Locked On Podcast. I mean, your team every single day. Just might have to change what channel you're watching on sometimes in the middle of it, because that's how things go. We are wherever you get your podcasts.